I'm alive! And Dave better be watching.
I doubt it. Apparently Dave forgot.
Yeah, he
about
forgot.
The show tonight. So he's not around. He will not be joining us this evening. But the show must go on, right, Shane?
That is so true. Dave's phone's broken, so I can't. So I don't know if he's around to do stuff. So anyway, hi. We've been gone for a few weeks. I don't even remember now because huh?
I think a 3 or something like that.
Has it been 3? God, I gotta turn this up here. I can't hear shit. Yeah, no. I was working in Nova Scotia for a bit, and then I was in New York, or in the other. I was in New York first, and then I was doing some podcasting stuff in Toronto before that. So I'm kind of still in a different time zone because I got back a few days ago, and I got instantly hit with the daylight savings thing.
Oh yes.
So I got back and I'm like, wow,
wouldn't that work in your favor? Doesn't that make things easier?
Does it make things easier? Maybe. Don't we lose? We spring ahead, which means we lose an hour. Well, here's the thing. I was in Nova Scotia, which, as a Canadian, we should all understand is 4 hours ahead, not 3.
No.
So, which actually, to be honest, I didn't realize when I got there. So yeah, it was like it was like way ahead, and I was confused and lost and wandered the streets of where I was. And but otherwise it was fun. So yeah, this whole time zone thing is a real pain in the ass. So but this week, Alan, you picked the beer.
Yes.
What was it? Sorry, we drank it already. We're not showing you. No.
Is it? It is from Phillips in Victoria. It's the Stave Us From Ourselves barrel-aged Imperial Stout, as Shane is holding up there, and I'll hold up mine as well. It again, an Imperial Stout that's been barrel-aged. What does it say about it on here?
That caution, pun explosive.
Yes. Ask you a question. What's more pun than a barrel of monkeys? Stave Us barrel-aged Imperial Stout is. The powder keg of flavor was incorporated and aged in big, bold bourbon barrels, yielding a rich, full-bodied, alcoholic finish. The new bourbon legend goes against the grain of generic stouts and delivers a ton of taste that you can hardly wait for.
Ow.
This is really difficult to read.
I know. It's puntastic.
It is. I'm going to admit something. I don't understand the significance of the name Stave Us From Ourselves.
Ooh, man, it pours like syrup almost. Wow.
Does it? Oh.
It's really thick. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's like drinking motor oil. Like it's got a viscosity.
It pours like motor oil too. It's got
that's what I mean. Like it's you could like hit somebody with this beer and they wouldn't be knocked out for a wow. This is actually kind of shocking.
Now it is a 10.5% beer. So
yes, and as everyone knows on the planet, I was just gonna make
my goodness. Oh,
I'm sorry, we have to be alone for a while. We'll stop the stream and come back later. Yeah, that I was not expecting. Wow. Okay, here we go. I have to taste it now.
I have to taste it like this though, because it's so incredibly. It's just a wonderful thing.
There you go. That's the rest of this podcast right here.
You know what this almost tastes like? It's almost like they take like black licorice and melt it down.
Add alcohol.
add molasses to it or something and some alcohol, and that's what this is. But do you get that licoricey kind of flavor?
I do. That is like when do they actually have it on the bottle at all of when this was made? I somehow doubt it, but sometimes these have like their bottling date.
Yeah, I don't see it.
No. So,
but if it's barrel aged, I mean, it's got to be at least for a few months, I would say.
I would hope so. Nope, not. I was thinking it might be on the inside of the bottle cap, but anyway, it doesn't matter because it is. Wow, this is actually quite stunning.
Mm-hmm. Now I kind of wonder if this would be cellarable.
If it's not that old, I suspect it would be because it's got it really does have that licoricey thing going on with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the total, the bourbon is coming through really strong, but the how do you describe it? The melted licorice finish of the Stave us from ourselves.
Right. Well, the whole thing is the fact that it's barrel aged, right? I mean, you can.
I would want
it really changes the complexity of the beer.
It
adds
totally,
an entire dimension.
Yeah, I cannot get enough of the smell.
Oh, I know. And I'll be honest with you,
the aromatic flavorings of this particular stout is quite. It inebriates the soul before you actually drink it.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I have a bit of a cold, and I'm a bit stuffed up. But I could totally smell this. I mean,
this is welcome to Alan's new feature called "How to Stay Awake While Suffering from a Cold." The cure is barrel-aged imperial stouts.
Apparently. So I wonder how this would measure up to, say, Singularity, which is just. Excuse me a second.
I wish you were beer.
So I have my bottle of Singularity here.
Okay.
Which is a Russian Imperial Stout from Driftwood that has been, I believe, barrel aged. Now, this does that
have the bottling date on
it? 2019. That's all it says. This is cellarable, and I kind of wonder if this one here from Phillips, although it doesn't have the fancy wax on the top, if this would be equally cellarable, because it's essentially the same product. I mean, isn't it? I mean,
I would think so. I mean, it's definitely got a what's the word I'm looking for? It's got an amazing actually, weren't we having sorry, I'm gonna back up for a second. Sure. Weren't we discussing this a few weeks back about whether wax actually did anything?
Yes. And the prevailing opinion is that it does nothing. It looks pretty, and that is all. Now, if you're, you might have an argument. If you're going to keep a beer, cellar something for a few years, then maybe you have an argument that it actually serves a purpose. Because air can escape from underneath the cap, right? And the wax prevents that. Okay. So, I mean, if you are going to hold on to a beer for that long, then yeah, I would say it becomes necessary. But if you're not going to hold on to it for that long, and I would suggest that it's rare that anybody would, then no, it's not necessary.
Because I just looked this up again, and there actually is an article from not too long ago, a few months ago, talking about stouts and how they're aging them and then putting wax on the the bottles to
Yeah.
seal them in. And the one thing that that apparently keeps coming up in this article, but what keeps coming, oh my god, what's in this beer? What keeps coming
A
up in
lot
this
of
article?
alcohol.
Yeah. What keeps coming up in this article, and then, you know, and going back to the ones that we were talking about a while back, that the wax is not it's permeable. It actually has transfer of air and stuff like that, so it's not necessarily, and it doesn't actually have the adhesive properties to actually cling to glass or metal, or like it. I mean, us human beings holding on to it, trying to pull it off, sure, it kind of feels that way, but at a microscopic kind of levels, it doesn't really do much. So I don't know. I when you were showing that,
I think it's there
the
mostly just for aesthetics. I think it looks fancy schmancy. And you know what? I mean, let's face it. This bottle here with the wax on the top, I had no problems paying what, $12 for this.
Right.
This thing here with no wax on it, if it was $12, I probably wouldn't have paid for it.
What now if it had screw tops? Now that's supposedly,
if it had screw tops, I wouldn't pay more than $3 for it.
Well, that's the thing, is that screw tops are in the wine industry anyway. Like the wine industry for a while has been getting away from using cork as the sealers, because cork trees, I guess their populations have been dwindling, and the for quite some time. But so they've gone to other things. They've had, like, you know, plastic cork, weird hybridy things that are made of partly foam, which I think is weird. But the wine industry, a lot of the wineries anyway, have gone to screw tops because they apparently seal better than a cork does anyway. So I don't know. I think it's I don't think it really matters. I mean, I think the goal is, if you see something with wax and it's more expensive. Actually, I can't even remember how much this was. This Stave with us from
this
ourselves.
One was about it was $6 something. It was almost $7.
So plus mine was probably 7 something. I'd have to find the bill, but yeah. So, you know, there's no real difference. I think if this doesn't give it more value, just as something that actually seals better, and I think that's the impression. I mean, is that? I mean, you would agree that when you see wax on a bottle, you assume it's sealed better than the other ones. Now, my bottle cap from the Cellar Dweller from like about a month ago or so, was actually resting, and I thought that was a bit weird. Like, the bottle had been cleaned, it had been filled with the beer, and then the top had gotten, like, I guess sometimes they actually wash the top of the bottle or the lip of the bottle or whatever the hell they do. And so when it got sealed and then the wax got dipped on it, or they got dipped in the wax, or however they do that process, I think it kept moisture inside of it. So the inside of my bottle cap was resting, and I would thought that is not really something you want for, you know, because, you know, rust in your beer is kind of unsexy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
it is.
But overall, let's hop into. I want to know. Did I show you that? Did I send this article to you? The one about the Come From Away beer that's being made?
No.
For those of you who do not know what Come From Away is, Come From Away is a musical based on planes landing in Labrador. I think it was Labrador. Was it Labrador? In Newfoundland, Labrador, yeah. Where the day of 9/11, they of course were concerned about planes being in the air, so all the planes in the world were grounded, and a whole bunch landed in Labrador because there was no other place to go. And the airport that these planes all landed at, which I gather was quite a few of them, quite a few planes, the town pretty much had to come up and say, "Hey, you can crash at my place," and all that kind of stuff. So, um, this musical was created about, I don't know, I would say 5-6 years ago or so, and it's been selling out everywhere. I haven't seen it myself. I was just in New York and I saw that it was playing, but it now has its own beer, which I thought was kind of cool.
Interesting.
Granted, I am kind of a fan of musicals, so I always bring up the fact that the very beginning of the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom film is actually a musical, which kills me when I think about it, because it's anyway. You know the song I'm talking about.
Yes.
Um,
Anything goes.
Anything goes. So I
Why, Ridley Scott?
the singer. But yeah, so I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a cool little story just about how this brewery and this partnership is going with making this beer. So they're calling it the Islander Pale Ale. And maybe we can find it somewhere. You never know. Something tells me this might actually travel further, because when I was in Nova Scotia last week, I actually stopped in to the brewery in the town I was there, where I was, and called the Two Islands Brewery.
Nice.
And I did tell them about the podcast. I said, yes, we review beers. So of the beer that I had there, I had their APA, which I don't think has a name. But they also had a chocolate stout, which had a name, but I don't remember what it was at the moment. I'll call it the Millennium Falcon. But anyway, both of the beers were great. I think I enjoyed them thoroughly for a few days. So good job, Two Islands Brewery. The special note about that brewery is that they opened up last year because they wanted to have a business that was trying to revitalize a bit of the downtown area, because a restaurant, the restaurant, their only sort of restaurant that was open for more than just the seasonal stuff, like in the summertime, burned down. So they thought, yeah, a cafe and a brewery would be a good combo to have. So cafe during the day, brewery at night.
Nice.
By the way, the wings were excellent. But yeah, they actually said, we actually don't know how to make beer. We thought a brewery would be a great idea, but now we have to actually make beer. So I thought that was kind of a cool little side note.
So how do they make beer if they don't know how to make beer?
They didn't, when they decided to do it, they hadn't actually leapt into the production side of it. They came up with the idea. They thought it was a great idea. They started branding it and all these sorts of things. And then they exactly. It's like, yeah, we should probably learn to do this. So yeah, that was kind of cool. So Two Islands Brewery. I always see island, but it's actually islands. Yeah, good on them, and I certainly hope we will eventually get their product at some point out this direction. But I suspect it won't be for a while, unless I can stick a growler.
Well, maybe they'll send us some products so we can review it on the show.
You never know,
because we have such a huge viewership.
I know. We're raking in that monetization stuff.
Yes. So I mean, we could totally help them, achieve stuff.
Riveting content right here, boys and girls.
Now, I wanted to ask you, okay, because on our last show, of course, it was like the day before you were leaving, and we discussed a beer that was from Cameron's Brewing out of Oakville, Ontario.
You said it out loud, and I was just thinking about there's a small fermenter or something in your kid's bedroom.
No.
Anyway,
but you were gonna try to check out a breakfast barley wine from Cameron's Brewing in Oakville, Ontario.
Yes.
Did you happen to find it?
I did not. The thing that I did discover was that the apparent, now this is what I was told by the nice man at the beer store, that the beer that particular brewery is making has not made a wide release. This is his words. And it was not showing up in most of the liquor stores there. He said I would have a better chance of actually going down to Oakville, I think.
Yes, Oakville,
right?
Yeah.
Which I could have done because if I had more time. Unfortunately, I didn't have a whole lot of time in Toronto. But that train, like the train that you ride sort of up and down the, sort of from, downtown Toronto, up the GO train. Thank you, because I was trying to remember what it was called. Apparently it goes down to Oakville. Like it actually goes quite a ways. So I could have ridden it all the way down and hopefully found the brewery. Which now, of course, I kind of want to know if it actually did, but anyway, my point being that I might be going back that direction. So because I did check with Canada Post, I'm like, I'd like to mail tall cans of beer, and they're like, and you put it in a box and mail it. So
yeah.
So anyway, so apparently, yeah, that actually is a thing. So I might be going back there a little bit later this year.
Cool.
And apparently the GO train is not that far away.
No, the GO train is actually awesome. Like if you're in Southern Ontario, the GO train is amazing. When I was with my wife visiting some of her family there, we were staying in Lindsay, which is several hour drive away from Toronto. And we were able to drive, I think it was to Oshawa, and park the car and get on a GO train, be in not Vancouver, in Toronto. Basically,
that was quite the trip you made.
Basically, be right down at what was then called Skydome in probably like an hour or something, and watch the game, and then head back to Lindsay afterwards. It's so convenient. I wish we had something like that here.
There are things where I'm actually watching just the whole infrastructure of Vancouver in terms of getting from one place to another. And when I was in New York, I was able to experience the full-on power of the subway. But also the train systems that connect to the subway. And it was fascinating to me because I'd not seen that level of rail being used in our neck of the woods, which doesn't really happen. But the going from halfway up Long Island to getting to downtown, getting to Midtown, and then going from there to other places. I've watched for years as the rail systems in the Lower Mainland keep getting covered over for bike trails and things like that. But which I think for now is okay, but 30 years from now, I think people are going to be wanting to have more of that sort of stuff. So in theory, maybe 50 years down the road, maybe there will be additional underground rail lines or something like that in the Lower Mainland, because it's going to become, the car problem is already an issue. And if it keeps going,
you guys have SkyTrain, which
alleviates some of it. Definitely.
Big. But I think it needs to be bigger. What I would love to see, for me, I would love to see SkyTrain go out to the ferry terminal.
Okay, so I just looked this up, and according to it's a 7-minute drive from Cameron's Brewing Company to the Oakville GO station, or a 40-minute walk, depending on. 40. What? It's only 3.5 clicks. What? I could do that way quicker than 45 minutes.
Jesus. Google calculates it with the thought that you're an 85-year-old woman.
I was just gonna say, because
with a walker, not like one of the ones with wheels on it or anything, but one of the ones that's got like the 4 tennis balls on the bottom, and you're kind of
because when I was in New York, I went up to I took the subway up to the Natural History Museum, and I thought I could go back and go, take the train the other direction. But I thought, wait a minute, I want to see the Ghostbusters Tower, or the building, which is 55 Central Park West. I wanted to see that building, and I thought, okay, well, so when I started planning where I was going to go that day, I realized that the Natural History Museum is like 20 blocks up from the building. So I thought, okay, well, I'll walk back. And the people that I was telling were like, really, that's quite a ways. I'm like, it's like, I'm looking at my phone going, it's like 7 kilometers. Isn't that far? So yeah, I walked, I went through Central Park. I went to the big famous fountain thing. And then I went and saw, what was the other thing? I've forgotten. There was something else. Oh, a particular, bust of a famous writer that I didn't actually find, which sucked. Oh my God, I'm blanking. This is terrible. What's in this? So anyway, and then, like 15-minute walk, and I was from the fountain to the thing. I was there. Nice. I was at the building. So, which I walked by. I did take several photos. I was actually shocked at how short the building was, because the movie version of it is much, much taller. Yeah. But I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, what? But there was a church right next to it. I'm like, nobody steps on a church in my town. And
now, did you see the building, like the firehouse where?
No, I that is actually quite a ways from where I was. And I would have had to travel like another hour down into the sort of downtown core.
Wow.
So
see now coming from like say Victoria, where you can walk from one end, of downtown to the other in what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, that.
And going at a pretty like slow pace. That's kind of incredulous to me that in downtown New York, it would take you an hour by car to go see this one particular building that you want to go see.
Yeah. Okay. So I just looked it up, and it is here. And actually, no, I wasn't. I'm trying to figure out what street this is. East. Because I went to the famous Katz thing. Let's actually see where Katz Deli is. I went to Katz Deli, which is the orgasmic thing.
Did you? Yeah,
no, it's quite a ways from where I was.
Okay. Did you go to the Seinfeld cafe?
I thought about it, but I didn't actually remember what it was called.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But granted, if I had gone a few blocks over from where I was, because at one time I was at Rockefeller Center and I was out on the main street there. If I had taken the subway from there, it would have taken me straight to the firehouse. But I couldn't remember what it was called, and I had so many other things to look at. So, and I only
did you get to try any craft beer while you were there?
I did at a restaurant near Rockefeller Center. But I don't remember what it was called, and it was terrible. So okay. I'm glad I don't remember.
Said. Yeah,
but again, I mean, I wasn't in any particular
swamp ape.
No. Oh my God! If that had been on the menu, I would have ordered it. Like, I want this swamp ape. Give me this swamp ape. Even if they had been like, really, I'm like, yeah, no, bring it to me. I want it to be really cold. Yeah, no, it was pretty awful. But what can you do? I mean, what do you say? What do you say to that? I mean, really, up yours, swamp ape. We will meet again. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that because I think we need to be finished. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for checking us out. Of the one watching person right now, I don't know why you're here. Talent. But there you go. So we'll see you all next week. Don't know what the beer is going to be because, you know, as always, we just pick them on the fly. And yeah, do all the doobly-doo things and the stuff and the things and the clicking. And bye.